What's going on, guys? Vulkan here, and today marks 1 week from the Outriders demo launch date. And to commemorate that, the devs have posted a 1 week later dev update out on Reddit, link in the description below. So what we're going to be doing is going through this post and kind of figuring out what their vision is for the demo as well as the full game, and talking about some of the changes that are going to be coming. This is going to be a quick video, so hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know in the comment section below if you agree with any of the changes. And if you guys like Outriders content, loot, action RPGs, anything like that, consider hitting that like button and subscribing. So let's go ahead and get started. We got 2 million players who downloaded Outriders, which is just insane to think about. This is a demo, and 2 million people downloaded it to give it a shot. I think this really kind of reinforces that players want demos. We don't want closed betas, open betas. We don't want any of those things. Just give us a flat demo and let us experience the game before we buy it. Okay, so let's move into demo launch week. So really this whole section, they're talking about how they kept people updated, how they're going to keep people updated using Twitter and all these fun things. But the top thing here is they talked about the connectivity issues. So for the first few hours of launch, probably the first 3 or 4, people were trying to access the game and they weren't able to. The authentication servers were overloaded and people couldn't log in. So they scaled up some new servers, and great, but they did mention they did not scale up fast enough. And I know this was something that a lot of people were talking about in the comment section on my videos. They were mentioning, yeah, I would really have liked to play the game or try it out, but I couldn't because of connectivity problems. I could never connect on Xbox, on PlayStation, on PC. So it was affecting all platforms, but I'm glad that they kind of came out, here's what happened, here's what we did, and we acknowledge we didn't do it fast enough. And because of that, some people might have written the game off. So good stuff here, but that's not what we're here for. We're here for what's coming to the demo and what's coming to launch. So let's go ahead and dive into the demo patch notes. Okay, so first things first, these are the fixes coming to all platforms. 1, they're adding a motion blur toggle, which is thank you devs. So glad that they're adding this in because this is a big thing. I don't usually mind motion blur, but this was bad. There was so much motion blur on just about everything. I was getting dizzy, and it just wasn't a great experience. Now, they did mention, hey, we're adding a motion blur toggle to the main game, which is great, but at the same time, if those people don't look at Twitter, Discord, Reddit, and they're not following this, and they're just a casual player that's like, oh, hey, Outriders demo, let's give this a shot. Oh, whoa, this has way too much motion blur. Don't want to play this game. Write it off. Done. They're not going to realize there's a motion blur toggle coming to the full game. So adding this into the demo, I think, is the right call. People will be able to go through, turn it off, and experience the game as they want to experience it. Next up, they made some minor tweaks to frame rate output for certain items and cutscenes to give a better performance all around. I didn't have any issues here, but I know a few other people did. They also made improvements to cut down the time it takes to matchmake. Now, this was a big problem. People were to the point where they thought the game was dead or no one was playing it because it was taking so long to put teams together. And for a game that kind of thrives on teamwork, it's built around having a group of 3 players, not being able to matchmake is a big problem. So I'm glad they're addressing that, especially in the demo. Okay, so the next section only affects PC players. So they fixed a crash that was repeatedly occurring when players were opening the menu or their inventory. They fixed a bug that deletes player gear if their connection drops out during a transition. This was a big issue. People's inventories were just getting completely wiped out, which was terrible, especially if you spent hours and hours and hours farming out legendaries. And then the last thing, they have improved some subtitle display and synchronization during the Bad Day quest. On the Xbox side of things, they fixed menu prompts not displaying correctly in supported non-English languages. And then from the PlayStation side, they fixed store links on the Buy Now button in the lobby, and they fixed a bug that was causing some audio desync during cutscenes. I think this is really good and foundational for people enjoying the demo and potentially purchasing the main game. So, changes to the demo. Now, these are coming on Friday, March 5th. So this is a back-end update. This is not something you're going to have any control over. This is going to come no matter what. So this is going to change quite a bit for the demo in terms of how people are spending their time. So I do want to dive into their explanatory note before we get into this. So they mentioned that they balance the main game around a certain progression system, and this progression may be impacted by heavy farming of gear and or mods in the demo. So players are out there spending, they expected people to spend like 3 hours on this demo and then move on. Players are spending 20, 30, 40 hours out there farming through gear, trying to get all the legendaries, all the mods, finish all the accolades, do everything they possibly can in order to set themselves up for success when the full game comes out, which is great. However, they're going to trivialize a lot of the game by doing that. If you play through the game naturally, you wouldn't have all those legendaries, all those mods, and the game would have a decent difficulty curve to it. That way you're constantly challenged. However, if you're completely stacked, rolling out at level 7, you're going to blast through content for a while. And then you're going to get to a point where you kind of not necessarily hit a wall, but it becomes challenging again. So for those of you who have just tons of stuff and have been farming the hell out of this, just know that the game might seem easy when you get there. That's all they're really saying here. So what's changing in the demo? Okay, so big things, changes to captains. So the captain skill, Healing Light, will have its effectiveness reduced, which is great, mostly because this skill sucks. Like, you get to 1% and they cast this, they're back at 100%. It's a full heal. It's like a paladin hitting lay on hands over and over and over again. So having this reduced down to like a 50%, 60% is good. I get that they're trying to encourage people to manage their interrupt skills, but with a game that's so heavily focused on blowing through your skills on cooldown and kind of managing those, it sucks to have to hold back a skill because you know a captain's going to cast Healing Light at some point. So having that reduced, I think, is going to be great. So the other captain abilities from the Ashes and Phoenix Aura are going to have their cooldowns increased. So this was a big thing I saw on Discord quite a bit was, oh man, you know, I hate when captains cast from the Ashes. It's not fun. It's more frustrating and it's not good. I hate it. There's nothing more frustrating than killing an enemy and then they come right back and then rinse repeat multiple times. So I get that. Now, one kind of tip is when they cast from the Ashes, they actually get a buff that you can see on their nameplate, and that buff will fall off over time. So if you see a captain get from the Ashes cast, the buff will appear on his nameplate, get him down to like 10%, and then kill some trash mobs, and that buff falls off, then clean him up, and that completely negates his whole from the Ashes ability. So that's just something to keep in mind as you go into this, because they're not removing that skill completely, they're just improving its or increasing the cooldowns. Okay, so we're also making some changes to Goss. So Goss is going to have his health points increase for repeat playthroughs to make him more challenging, so more health. That way, you know, he's still an interesting fight. And then his healing ability, Steel Wall, is going to have the heals per second and total healing increased. Okay, so changes to loot drops. This is big, guys, because this has been where most people have been spending their time, right? I mean, I highly doubt people are going to just continue replaying side quests all the way through for fun. So farming runs. Epic items will no longer appear in shops or vendors within the demo. They feel like this is not within the spirit of the game. As well as the triple chest run or 5 chest run, chests will no longer drop legendary items because of this. So this is not how they want the game to be played, and because of that, they're making these changes. Now, I just want to reiterate, epic items will no longer appear in shops and vendors within the demo. So the full game, you're still able to get these. They're still going to show up like normal, but the demo will no longer have them. Now, side quests, this is their kind of their parlay here, right? Their way to counteract chests no longer dropping legendary items. Side quest rewards on repeat runs will now have a chance to drop legendary items. So when you turn that side quest in, you have a chance to get a legendary item, which I think is a good alternative. It allows players to go through the full quest, complete everything, redo all the content, and then have a chance at a legendary item. So that's something I really like, and I hope that they double down on the main game. Now, they did mention drop rates for enemies are not being changed at this time, right? They think those are balanced well. So the captain just getting absolutely murdered over and over and over again. If you want to keep doing that, great. The drop rate's going to be the same. So the other things they're talking about here are camera shake, matchmaking, cover system, items disappearing from player inventories, and cheating. So the big things here, camera shake, they're trying to figure out how to address this. They're removing the 30 frame per second restriction. They think that's going to help a little bit. Matchmaking, they're looking into why matchmaking is taking longer than it should. Cover system. The main game is going to come with a day 1 patch that's going to have a slew of bug fixes for many cover locations, but it's also going to fix a handful of systemic issues affecting the cover mechanic on a global level. Hopefully things like rounding corners or even getting into cover on certain items. Then you have items disappearing from player inventories. So this one, they said they're treating very seriously. I get it. You spend hours and hours and hours grinding stuff, and all of a sudden your inventory is just gone like magic. So they're addressing one bug that's causing the issue, so that's done. But they said in the spirit of transparency, they don't currently have a system in place that's going to be able to restore inventories or, kind of revert you back to a different save point. So that's something that they're looking into, they're trying to figure out, and once they have any extra news on this, they're going to let us know. Okay, so the last thing is cheating. Now, this has been a big one, okay? And cheating is something that just pisses me off to my core. I'm not a big cheater fan. So people have been using Cheat Engine to max level their characters, get access to all the legendary gear, create their own legendary gear, edit legendary gear, and then basically reveal all of the game to everyone, which is not great. If you're wanting to do it yourself and just kind of look into it and figure out, oh, hey, this is kind of cool, I can look for this or grind for that, whatever, research purposes. But if you're someone who is like, I want to go out and just max level everything, you have to understand you're going to affect the gameplay experience of other players as well. You're someone who has a cheated character, max level, blowing through all the content, and then you party up with two players who are playing legit, and they're just wanting to play the game. They can't enjoy it. You're going to be blasting through everything, destroying everything in front of you, and they're not going to get to do anything. And it's just going to lead to a frustrating experience. So I'm really glad they're looking into this because this is a big deal. They're not going to go into details they mentioned, but they did say they know who is cheating. They're able to identify the cheaters. I hope they ban or suspend those cheaters. That way they set the tone early and often to set the precedence that this is not going to be tolerated within Outriders. This is not going to be something that we're going to allow in our game. So hope that happens. But overall, guys, that wraps up everything in their 1 week later update. So I want to hear from you. What do you guys think about all of the different changes here, especially the change that chests will no longer drop legendary items? I want to hear from that, as well as what do you guys think so far about the demo as a whole? Have you guys been grinding things? Have you guys hit any of those kind of big game-breaking bugs? Let me know in the comment section below. But as always, thank you guys so much for the support. This has been Vulkan, and I'll talk to you guys next time.